What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So Michigan State football pulls out a closer than expected or a closer than needed to be win against Purdue in Spartan Stadium Friday night, 24-17, a game in which you were up 24-3 at halftime. Did not score a single point in the second half while giving up 14 to make us sweat it out there in a very cold Spartan Stadium in the fourth quarter on Friday night. Listen, I thought that there was some good things to take from the first half. Not a whole lot of good to take from the second half, but we're going to get into it as a whole and what we can expect next week against Rutgers in Spartan Stadium. You're playing for a chance at a bowl game now, so there's something to play for now going into the last week of the season. But before we do jump in, if you could, just hit that like and subscribe button down there. More Michigan State football content on the channel. For sure, guaranteed one more game. Hopefully can get that win and guaranteed a bowl game here. Michigan State basketball in the Maui Invitational tipping off on Monday. So we'll be here covering all of that. Bunch of other stuff on the channel, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a video. So 24-17, Michigan State really in the first half was doing a lot of good things. Wasn't like eye-popping stuff, but it was stuff that, was making improvements that we've seen throughout the year. They were moving the ball fairly well on the day. 22 total first downs, moving the ball, 12 of them rushing, 7 passing. And part of the good, really for the whole game, was on the defensive front in terms of rushing. 0 first downs rushing, -4 net yards rushing on the day. And the positive, I literally threw my hands up in the air up there in section 30, got a sack for the first time in over 2 months now. So that was a positive. Not a whole lot of yards for Michigan State. Passing 159 through the air, 15 for 31. 2 touchdowns, though, through the air, which was a positive. Whereas rushing for Michigan State was quite a bit better. 134 on the ground for 38 attempts. 3.5 a carry, not great, but was getting some good yards, especially here from K'Ron Lynch-Adams. 18 carries for 88 yards, 4.7 average. Aiden Childs ran it 8 times for 32 yards. I thought that provided a good spark at times. 9 for 26 from Nate Carter overall, and Nate Carter did score the 1 touchdown on the ground. He had 1 on the ground and 1 through the air as well. Now, for some of, I'll get to some of the bad, as I usually like to, before we get into some positives can take from this. Hudson Card was, again, he actually got sacked 3 times in this game. First time in 2 months, as I said, that Michigan State recorded a sack, so that's a good, but 342 yards through the air. Now, I will say this as a caveat that Michigan State, as we said, coming into the game, was without those defensive backs that they lost. Chuck Brantley out for the season, Malik Spencer out, Armarion Smith out, obviously Dylan Tatum has been out pretty much the whole year, Chance Rucker has been out for a good amount of time. So it is a lot of young guys getting reps there in that secondary, and a lot of them were making some good plays, at times. But Nikai Martinez, especially, Angelo Gross, Ed Woods, they all made solid plays, but you saw the inexperience at times in the secondary. That's why you see that 342-yard passing number. A few times on the ground, as we said, that was a positive. So I will get to more of that in a second here. But receiving for Purdue, I mean, Jamal Edrin, Max Clare, 2 people that we talked about coming into the game. 87 yards, 83 yards, 5-7 catches. They are the touchdown for Max Clare. But also Jerron Tibbs, a guy that I don't believe we talked about coming into the game. 4 catches for 73 yards. And it was really Michigan State's inability to get home. I mean, yes, as we said, you saw the inexperience at times in that secondary, but I mean, Hudson Card, he had a lot of time back there and was able to kind of leak out, extend plays, and then, or even just be able to drift enough that eventually a wide receiver just found a spot in the defense and just sat down, and he was able to get him. So you have to give Purdue credit, both Hudson Card and their wide receivers, for, being able to find those seams. But Michigan State got to get home more. As we said, 3 sacks. Hey, that is a positive. That is something that we have not seen in over 2 months. So that was a positive, but got to be able to get home more, especially against this front, which we did talk about coming into the game. But really, just going over a couple of positives that I thought. I thought Aiden Childs, I thought he looked fairly good. As I said, again, nothing like eye-popping off the stat sheet for you. 15 for 31, 159, 2 touchdowns, got sacked 2 times, was able to run it 8 times for 32 yards. But overall, I thought he looked solid. Didn't really put the ball. He had an interception that was called back, but for the most part, didn't really put the ball in too many spots for the defense to make plays, which unfortunately is something that we had seen for a better part of the year, but that has been cleaned up aside from the Indiana game over the last couple weeks here, dating back to really Iowa. Then, as we kind of talked about, Lynch-Adams, 18 carries for 88 yards, 4.7 average. I thought that was a good positive there. Then just not a lot through the air for Michigan State. As we said, only 15 completions for Aiden Childs, 2 touchdowns through the air though. One of them being to Nate Carter, but Montori Foster had a touchdown catch as well, 4 for 59. 2 for 25 for Nick Marsh. There was a couple times Aiden just missed him on the throw, or just Nick just misplayed the ball. I'm pretty sure it was equally on each party there, but just a couple times there. But listen, it was a cold night in there. It was a rainy, misty night in there. So listen, at the end of the day, Michigan State gets away with the win. But then really just a couple guys want to shout out on defense. Angelo Gross had a sack. Ed Woods, 9 tackles in the secondary. Nikai Martinez thought made some plays, 1.5 tackles for loss. Chris Bogle had a sack. Jordan Turner, tackle for loss. Al Halliday, tackle for loss. And then Alex Van Sumeren and Maverick Hansen combining for half a sack each. So the defense was making plays, but a lot of the positives, as I did say, came in that first half, and got to finish better. I think the biggest thing you take away from this game is something that has been been talked about a lot this season, is there wasn't a lot of juice in the second half. We saw that by scoring 0 points in the second half. So that's something that has to get cleaned up and turned around going forward. Then closing up on the defense, as we said, the rushing defense, -4 yards net on the day for them. So that's a solid. Need to continue that next week against Rutgers. And as we move into Rutgers next week, you got one game for your season to accomplish the bare minimum goals for this program, which is getting to a bowl game. And listen, it's going to be another cold one there in Spartan Stadium. I think it's like 33 degrees right now, something like that, 32 degrees, something. It's going to be a cold one in there, so I imagine we're going to see a lot of ground attack for Michigan State next Saturday. But as always, we will be back on Friday morning with a preview for this Rutgers game. Shots go to a bowl game. You got something to play for now the last week of the season. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.